Hello everyone, Niev here, and today I am going to do a video going over the items and the decks that I have or use or am considering using for the goddess Brigid or Brigid. This is the second of these videos I've done. The first one was last year around October time. I think it was like right after my birthday, and I did a video on Morgan. And I was super proud of that video, and I, talked about the different decks that I use for On Morgan. I talked about books and items, altar stuff, etc. that I have for On Morgan. Unfortunately, for some reason, the algorithm hated that video, and only like 40 people saw that video, and I was super bummed by that. So if any of you would be so inclined, please go check out my Morgan video, going over the decks that I use for On Morgan and other stuff that I have for On Morgan. Anyway, so for this video, I'm going to do the same thing, and hopefully the algorithm picks up this video a little bit better. But and this is for Brigid. In front of me right now, I have I pulled out all my altar stuff that I have for Brigid, so I'm going to kind of go over that. It is on this, let me move my wand here out of the way, but it's on this kind of gold yellow fabric here, and there is underneath this, let me carefully move this, there is like a pentacle design on there. This cloth came from a Witch's Moon box, so I wouldn't have chosen this for Brigid if I saw it out in the wild, but I got it in my possession through a Witch's Moon box, and I did like it. And yellow is a color that I associate with Brigid. And I will also say that some of the items that I show here, or some of the colors or other associations that I have connected with Brigid, is my own personal gnosis, and it's through my meditations, my connections with the goddess, and also reading on lore and other things like that, source material, etc. And just kind of developed personal gnosis things, like yellow being associated with Brigid. And yellow is, I'm not the only one. I believe that it is a color that is often attached to this particular goddess. I don't know if it's an official color of Brigid, but it is one that that I utilize. The other color that I have associated with Brigid is like a light purple, not like a dark purple, but like a light purple. So amethyst stones are stones that I often place on her altar. And I also, any yellow stones, this came in my latest Witch's Roots box, and it was also a Brigid themed box, and this is a rough citrine. I actually thought it was amber, and both citrine and amber I would put on Brigid's altar. So that one of course went to her altar. What else? I also kind of associate green a little bit with Brigid, not as much as yellow and purple though. It's kind of in general that nature vibe of green. I definitely see with Brigid. Animals. So a lot of people associate bees with the Brigid. As you can see, there are some bees on this what should I call this? This tray? It's like a wooden slab. It is on some feet, and my table is not exactly level, so it does rock a little bit. But this was a lovely item that I found it at I think it was Home Goods, and it did have little bees on here, and I thought that would be perfect to use for Brigid. So as far as bees go in regards to the goddess Brigid. They're not associated officially with the goddess. However, a lot of people do associate bees with the saint, with Saint Brigid, and because of that, I believe that's kind of where that the two mythologies or spiritual practices sort of meld a little bit. So I do believe bees are perhaps associated with the saint more so than the goddess, but because of that association, a lot of people do also associate bees with the goddess Brigid. So another animal that's also associated with Brigid is swans. So I would actually swans I more specifically attach to the god Angus, and that is because of a story involving swans and Angus, and yeah, that's a whole thing. But you know, because of that connection with Brigid as well in the lore, perhaps swans are also associated with Brigid there. Yeah. So some of the items I also have on my altar here. So I have this old oak wand that I made probably 25 years ago, a very, very long time ago. I was a teenager when I made this, and it was... and it's got a quartz crystal on the end, and tied to it. It is like hot glued on there, and tied on there more securely with some hemp that I also used glue to secure it down. So yeah, and this wand is actually very, very important to me. I got it. It was on the ground. In the forest of Northern California, and yeah, and that is an area that is very important to me, an area of the country that I live in. I live in the United States, but the Northern California is an area of the country that is important to me. And so this is where I found the oak branch, and glued and tied a crystal to it, and there we go, a quartz crystal. And this had been my main wand. You know, my practice, I started out with Wicca, you know, years and years ago, in the late 90s. And you know, and obviously since then my path has grown and changed and evolved. But for pretty much every ritual, I would use this wand. Now, I decided to put this on my Brigid altar because, you know, oak in general is a tree that's often associated with, you know, Irish deities. You know, and it's funny because I would more associate oak with, say, Ondagda, and Ondagda is the father of Brigid in the mythology. But this wand just felt like it belonged to Brigid, so that is on her altar there. All right, so what else do I have? As you can see, I have this little Brigid altar, and this is actually brand new. This came in that same Witch's Roots box that this came in. And I actually have an unboxing of that on my channel, so if you're interested, go check that out. So this is, these are both very, very new to my Brigid altar. And obviously I have some amethyst crystals here. So I also have this plaque that I got. I think it was at. I think I got this in Salem a couple years ago, Salem, Massachusetts, around Halloween time. I went to Salem with a friend of mine, and this was in one of the shops, and I thought it was really nice. And I usually keep this, it's kind of hanging up like behind the altar like that. But yeah, so this is a nice Brigid plaque, and it shows some of the things that is associated with Brigid. Yeah, so we have the Brigid's cross and the hammer and anvil here. And then like this sort of motherhood sort of aspect here. Now, that's not to say that this is like, you know, the triple goddess, the maiden mother crone sort of vibe, because that's not something that's part of Irish mythology, Irish paganism. But the deities in triple form are often something within Irish paganism, but not maiden mother crone. So just wanted to clarify that. So I do have some in bulk salt and in bulk oil, and this is almost gone. I need to replenish this from the witch's moon. So what else I have on here? I have this little offering dish that it has a little bit of that green that I was saying that I kind of associate with Brigid. And I also have, so if you remember my last video with on Morgan, all of my deities, I have shot glasses for their liquid offerings. So I usually put like wine or beer or whiskey as offerings to the gods. And this is the shot glass that I use for Brigid. And this is, of course, Kagome from Inuyasha. And so yeah, and I liked, I felt like Kagome has that Brigid energy. So so that is the shot glass that I use for her. And finally, I have the candle that is almost gone. Like, look at this. This is almost gone. So I forget what this stone is. And this has been something I've really enjoyed. Candle holders that are made out of stone, some sort of stone. My Morgan altar has like a pink jasper candle holder just like that. And this one, oh gosh, I cannot remember the name of the crystal that this one is made out of. It might be a moonstone. I don't remember. It could perhaps be a citrine. I don't know. But anyway, there was a nice pale yellow candle that I had in there, plus mixed with the salt here that I had in here, and this is almost gone. So I am definitely going to have to replenish that at some point. Yeah, so that is the candle. And then in front of it, I have this little thing that came in a subscription box. And this is what it says. It says the immersion. It's time to leave the shore, to no longer be an edge walker. Dive deeper. Let the waters of adventure surround you. To be granted your wish, let go, be bold, and embrace the unknown. And I don't know why. I just liked it for the Brigid altar. So that's what is in front of her candle there. I also have this card that came from some deck. I don't know what it was, but this was a single card that I got in a subscription box, and obviously it's from a deck that has a Brigid card here. So it says, "Peace, Brigid goddess, in your sacred name, align within me, peace is flame." And I also have various Brigid's crosses around the house. This is made out of pipe cleaners. And I believe this was several years ago. My kids and I made a bunch of Brigid's crosses out of pipe cleaners. And this one has just kind of always stayed and sits in our windowsill in our front room. So yeah, so that is the Brigid's cross. And finally, what I have over here is this, which also came in this same box that these items came in. And it's just a Brigid's hammer and anvil. And there we go. So Brigid is associated strongly with blacksmiths, smith crafting of all kinds. And Brigid's crosses are often placed in blacksmith workshops as a sort of blessing from the goddess. So she is very strongly associated with smithcraft, with blacksmithing, etc. And, you know, as mentioned, you know, she is very much associated with fire. So, yeah, and And that may also be why I chose to place a wand on her altar instead of a different kind of item. And because in, you know, especially in tarot, the wands are usually associated with fire. And of course, this has nothing to do with Irish paganism. I want to be clear on that. This is an association based on the fact that she is highly associated with fire in general, bonfires, forge fires, etc. And yeah, so that is my sort of personal attempt of connecting it with other parts of my practice. And of course, the elements, you know, the earth, air, fire, water, and all of that is very much, you know, kind of that Golden Dawn sort of stuff, which has nothing to do with Irish paganism. But I just wanted to mention that, and that if one were to associate one of the suits of the tarot with Brigid, I would probably choose the whatever suit is associated with fire. So most people associate wands with fire. So I associate the wand suit with Brigid. All right, so now I want to show some books that I would recommend for Brigid. So first off, I have this book here, a Brigid, History, Mystery, and Magic of the Celtic Goddess by Courtney Weber, or Weber, Weber or Weber. And I did read this one in its entirety, I believe. So this is a great book. Highly recommend it. I do like a lot of Courtney Weber's work. Yeah, and she tends to also be recommended by the Irish Pagan School in general. So she's not expressly associated with them, but I know that I'm pretty sure Laura O'Brien did the what's that? Like the prologue or something or the forward in one of her books. Not this one, but in another one of her books. I think maybe it was the one on Morgan. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I do recommend this book. It is very good. I also recommend anything by Morgan Daimler, and I have some of their books, but it's on my Kindle. So I will share pictures of the books pertaining to Brigid from Morgan there. And I also would recommend just some general books here. I would recommend this book here by Laura O'Brien, Tales of Old Ireland Retold. So just general books on Irish mythology and the myths, like the Táin, and other works of Irish mythology, source material, etc. So I would really, really recommend that. And I also have this book here, Ireland's Immortals, A History of the Gods of Irish Myth by Mark Williams. I also recommend this, though it is very... it's very stiff. It's a very heavy read. I don't think I've ever fully read this. I think I've just read bits and pieces, but it also is a book that is, in general, recommended by the Irish Pagan School, so I thought I would mention that as well. So, now, almost 20 minutes in, and I think we can finally start looking at some decks. All right, so the main deck that I use with Brigid is the Anima Mundi tarot, and this is a bag that I made for it, and it's got a big giant full moon on there, because I usually honor Brigid on the full moon, and there was one year that I honored her on every or almost every full moon, and then I sort of tried something different the next year, and I've been kind of going back and forth on how I honor my deities and experimenting with different ways, but I've come to really like associating the full moon with Brigid. So for this year I have gone back to specifically honoring Brigid on the full moon, and this deck makes a great full moon reader. I don't use it for every full moon, but the string does get a little tight though. There we go. All right, this particular ribbon was probably not the best ribbon I could have chosen for this for this bag because it is a little stiff, that ribbon. Anyway, so here is the Anima Mundi Tarot. And this deck is just, this has some serious late winter vibes. And of course, what holiday is late winter? It is Imbolc. And Imbolc is very much associated with Brigid. So this deck is just, it really feels like that Imbolc time. It feels like January, February. That's what this deck, like, exudes for me. Now, even though Brigid is very much associated with fire and that sort of energy, she's not really, she doesn't really feel like a summer goddess to me. But of course, the gods are gods of every season. Beautiful. But yeah, this deck, one, it has always called to me to represent Brigid, or to use with her, and she does get quite sassy with me with this deck. Brigid, she's often seen as like this kind of, mothery kind of goddess, and like a lighter version, like, well, not a lighter version, but much lighter than, say, on Morrigan, who can kind of have this harsher sort of vibe to her. But Brigid has always been quite harsh with me. So yeah, it's always been a very interesting relationship I've had with Brigid. She does not feel like a mother goddess to me. She feels to me more like this version here, the smithing goddess, just really hard hitting, pulling no punches, and she has been quite harsh with me in especially with this deck, and that might deter some people from using a certain deck with that goddess, or communing with that goddess. But I understand the harshness, and I'm okay with it, and I continue to try to try to form that connection, and also and understand where that harshness is coming from, and what I can do, and what attitudes or ways of acting on my part that I can change, or that I can evolve from. So anyway, but this deck is absolutely stunning. Oh, look at those bees. I do really like bees for on Morrigan. And I have also seen owls, some people using owls, though I really don't think owls are something that's ever like officially been associated with Brigid, but I have seen some people use owls. But I think if I was going to choose something, to me, bees make the most sense. So, yeah. Anyway, and before I go to the next deck, I wanted to put on screen one of the spreads that I like to use with Brigid, and especially on the full moon. And this is a spread that I made myself, and it's kind of a version of the Celtic Cross, but one, like, I cannot find any real history on where the Celtic Cross came from and why it's even called that. And because it seems to have absolutely no association with Celtic mythology, Celtic paganism, or anything like that. Maybe they call it the Celtic Cross because of the overlapping cards. They're indicating the crossing, like a knotwork, like Celtic knotwork. Perhaps that's where it came from. But anyway, the Celtic Cross has nothing to do with Irish paganism, but I kind of wanted to do a version of that when coming up with a spread for Brigid. So I came up with this spread, which is called Brigid's Cross and Candle, and it's a version of the Celtic Cross. And the center card is an oracle card, usually, and then the 4 cards around it are from a tarot deck. And then on the side, I have 3 cards, and I put them down from top to bottom instead of bottom to top. I lay them down top to bottom, And that is usually a Lenormand or some sort of whatever small deck I'm using as a tableau reader. That will go on the side there, and that often represents, I think, well, you know what, I'll have it up on the screen as to what that candle represents. And then at the top, I usually put an Ogham stave. And now I do have a couple of Ogham stave things here. And I probably should have mentioned this also in my on Morgan video, but I didn't think to pull these out. Even though my Ogham staves I use with all of my Irish deities. So this one, I believe, came in a witch's moon or witch's roots box. So these are like machine cut, and then like probably using some sort of like a glow forge type thing to put the Ogham staves on there. And I do like this one though. It's nice and simple, and it's all the same wood, which is very nice. All right, so that is that one. And the other deck I have, now this is the second of these. Oh, and in fact, there's actually a deck in here. This is my Ogham deck here. Now, I think this is like the Celtic Tree Oracle or something like that. I don't look at the book for it. It's kind of that pop paganism, Celtic paganism sort of thing. So it's not actually associated with Irish paganism, but I do enjoy the art style of this deck. Yeah, and it's good. You know, I just use the deck. I like the deck. You know, and this one works for me. But anyway, so that this isn't specifically associated with Brigid, of course. It's just Irish paganism in general. But under this little tray is some more Ogham staves, and these ones are made from the trees that are associated with the different Ogham letters. And there's a whole thing with Ogham and you know, the tree associations and things like that, and it's not exactly how we've always sort of like the modern pagans have sort of attributed them. And the whole thing with the Celtic tree calendar is completely made up, modern thing made up that has absolutely no association with Irish paganism whatsoever. But this is still really cool that these all have they're all made of the trees that they're associated with, and they also each have a hole in them, so I can wear one on a necklace and like a cord or something, because it came with like a black cord. So, and sometimes I do that. So I love this little set though. So that is the different Ogham sets that I have. Yeah, but anyway, at the top of my candle for that spread, I usually pull an Ogham stave to be the flame of the candle. So there we go. So those are the primary yeah, that was the primary deck that I used with on Morgan, the Animo Mundi. But I also, and I mentioned this in my Morgan video, with the Arcane decks, the Ignis Arcane, the Terra Arcane, the Oceanum Arcane, the Ventum Arcane, all of those, the ones that are associated with the four elements. It's been my, you know, something I'm thinking about, associating each of those decks with the four main deities that I honor. And I honor lots of different Irish deities, and also a few others outside of Irish paganism. But my four main ones are on Morgan, Bríd, on Dagda, and Lugh. And because there are four main deities that I honor, even though there is zero association with the Irish deities and, you know, the elements, it just helps to connect in my mind, to connect them with the different elements, you know. So I figured the deck that made the most sense out of the Arcane decks to be associated with Bríd is the Ignis Arcane, and I will pull this one out. So this deck is very much, it's a very, very fiery deck. It's very orange. and you know, it's got that sun energy, and that's maybe another reason why I associate yellow with Brigid, that sun energy, you know. And I love this deck too because it's filled with like reptiles and dinosaurs, and I think that's really cool. You know. And yeah, and this deck I think could work very well with Brigid, bringing in that sort of fiery energy, but it's not fiery. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like you know, it's almost dragon type energy. But yeah, but I really like this, and I like the little like salamanders and things like that. It just makes sense, and I like this for Brigid. And I think, you know, with the other Arcane decks, it makes most sense to me to associate the Ventum Arcane, the Air deck, the Air Tarot, with on Morgan, and the Oceanum Arcane with on Dagda, which may seem odd, but you know, it works. It works. And the Terra Arcane with Lou. So yeah, and I considered Terra Arcane for Brigid, but because of that strong fire association with her, this one just made sense. So so this is another deck that I use with Brigid. So another deck that I thought might actually be kind of cool with Brigid, and this was something I kind of came up with right before this video, so this is going to be a little bit of an experiment, but that is the Celestial Unicorn Tarot. And yeah, and it's really specifically because of the fire suit in this deck, and here is a good example. And woo, I really like. I'm not really a unicorn person. I would not have bought this deck on my own. It came in a Witch's Moon box, and I am actually pretty happy with it. It's not as I connected with it more than I thought I was going to, especially with this fire suit. Like, I really love this fire suit. So let me just lay out some cards here. And this is certainly a certain aspect of Brigid that I'm kind of channeling here with these cards. It's not a deck that I would have initially associated with her, but yeah, there's something about this, especially these fire cards. I really love these ones. Yeah, I feel that here. I feel that for Brigid with this one. Let me see if there's another fire one. Ooh, look at this one. That one's really good too. I like that one. So I mean, I'm not in love with this deck. It's, you know, it's not a favorite. You know, it would never be in a top 10 for me, especially since I'm just not really into unicorns, and I definitely don't associate unicorns with Brigid. But it is this. There's something about this energy, especially the fire suit, that I thought maybe I could try with Brigid here. So I think I may experiment with this deck a little bit and see how I like it with Brigid. So there we go. Cool. So I have a few other decks here I thought maybe I'd try out. I have, you know, the Idiosyncra deck and the Amethyst Oracle. That makes sense. And this is a brand new deck, and in February I will have a walkthrough of this. But I also just recently got the Echo Tarot, so I thought maybe I could just pull the three of these out and just see how I maybe like them together, and if maybe perhaps this one works for me with Brigid, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So I thought I'd lay some of these out. And maybe it's also because the pink and redness of this, maybe I'm associating it with February. You know, we got Valentine's Day, so maybe that's what I'm connecting here. But I thought I'd give this a little bit of a shot. Oh, I was just about to pull these out, but I was like, oh, the backs of these kind of look cool together. But anyway, so let's turn these over and see what we got here. So, yeah, this is an interesting combination. Now, I'm not going to do too much of this because I am going to do a walkthrough of this deck very soon, and it'll be up after this video goes up. But yeah, so I'll be doing some pairings with that in that video. So I'm trying not to look at the pairing of this, you know, or because it's three different decks here, the triple of this, and trying to think about how this makes me feel in regards to Brigid. Now, I'm feeling like the Echo Tarot maybe is not a Brigid deck, but the other two, Yes, especially the Amethyst Oracle. I feel like that one is very Breach to me, and in fact, takes a good replacement of the Lenormand in, say, that Bridget's Cross and Candle spread. I think this one would be a good replacement for that, for a Lenormand. So I do really like these two decks for Brigid. I'm not sure how I feel about this one for Brigid. It is interesting, and it does give me February vibes, but maybe not so much Bridget vibes. So, yeah, I thought I'd just, and I've been enjoying shuffling this. I just got it in, so I haven't really even used it in a reading. So I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit. So cool. These were nice for that. So there's other decks that I don't have that I think would make great Bridget decks. One of them is a very specific Bridget Oracle, and that is from Moon Mana. It's a Irish based website, and they have a couple. I think they have two decks. One is just general Ireland, Irish mythology based, and the other is very specifically for Brigid. And I want both of those. They've been on my list for a while. Just for some reason, I just have not gotten them yet. And they're both decent. Yeah, the Brigid one basically just has some keywords or titles rather, which works fine for me, and just some general Brigid imagery. Yeah, and it's a simple deck, but it's nice, and I would love to have it in my collection at some point. So there's that one. Another option would be any bee tarot, because I know there is the bee tarot, I think by Christopher Hughes. So that's, of course, if you associate bees with Brigid, which I think I kind of do. I think I kind of do. Even though it's very much, that came from the saint. If I'm going to associate an animal with Brigid, I am drawn to the bee for her. But there are other animals that are more closely associated to her from the actual lore. But so the bee tarot would be great. There's also this other bee tarot / oracle. I think it's actually Thoth based. I can't remember, but I think that one was like an independent deck. And it used to be on my list for a while, but for some reason, it just, sometimes you put things on your list and you want them, and and you maybe sometimes you really want them, but you just never get them, and then after a while, you're like, I guess I didn't really want it that bad. But well, that's kind of how I feel about that one. But it is cool, and I if I was gonna pick a B deck based on what was available, that one probably would have been it. But I'm not even sure it's still in print anymore. But anyway, so there's that one. Yeah. And if you're into, like, say, collage type decks, I feel like the Lioness Tarot, or is it an Oracle? That one, I feel like would be pretty good for Brigid as well. There's something, even though her holiday is Imbolc in February, I do often associate, if I was going to pick an astrological sign from Western astrology to be associated with Brigid, it would be Leo. And maybe that is because my youngest is a Leo and her name is Brigid. So maybe that's why. But it's got that fiery energy, So I would also associate anything that's really like foresty. And this is just a general vibe, a certain nature aspect of, maybe this is where I kind of associate the naturey, the motherly aspect with Brigid, where I don't really get it from her as in our connections. I don't really get that motherly vibe from her. A lot of other people do, though. And maybe that aspect for her comes through for me when it comes to, like, maybe foresty themed decks. So I feel like the Woodland Wardens would be pretty good with her, whether that's the Oracle or the Tarot. I'm not really into the Woodland Wardens Oracle, but I am considering the Tarot. There's something about that connects to me a bit more. So I'm kind of considering that deck. I also really liked the Northern Animal tarot for Brigid. Oh, and there was, I also really wanted to get the, was it Oak, Ash, and Thorn? Yeah, I think I was going to get the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. That one was on my list for so long. For so long. And I was like, oh, that's going to be my Brigid deck. That's going to be my Brigid deck. And I just never got it. And I more and more just sort of felt like that deck was just not meant for me. You know, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I can't get a hold of, I could never get a hold of that deck. It was always out of stock. And I finally got to the point where it was just like, all right, this deck is just not for me. So, but like, I still think it would probably be a pretty good Brigid deck, but who knows? Oh, and I think I meant to mention this when I was talking about my wand for Brigid, but if I were to pick a tree that for me I connected with Brigid, I actually think I would pick a birch tree. Even though I think this wand is great on her altar, but perhaps at some point I may get a birch branch and make another wand. Perhaps, I don't know, this has served me very, very well. And in which case, maybe I would put that on her altar. And I think it's because something about the birch tree feels very wintry, or like kind of late wintry to me. And so maybe that's why I associate birch a little bit more with Brigid than, say, oak, which oak in general I would associate with Ondagda, but that's just my personal gnosis there. So anyway, other foresty themed decks that I think would be good for Brigid. There's the Folia Oracle that I think might be pretty cool with her. Something like that would be neat. There's also the Under the Oak, I think is also really nice. And I don't have either of those decks, so maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe they wouldn't work for her at all. But yeah, both of those seem like they would be pretty good Brigid decks. I do also have the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, but I really don't associate that one with Brigid. I associate that one more with Ondagda. But if you have that one, that could be a good Brigid deck too. All right, so I think I've covered everything. I'm sure I'm gonna find another deck after I finish this video and be like, oh my god, I've used this deck so many times for Brigid, and I should have mentioned it. But I think we're gonna call it a day because we're over 40 minutes in. But hopefully this video does a little bit better than my Morrigan one. And if you guys haven't watched my Morrigan one, please go check it out. I hope to do another one of these, at least for Ondagda and also for Lou. So I'll have 4 total. But I'm also sort of considering doing some of these for other deities that I also follow. But maybe for this year, I'm just going to try to keep it to my 4 big ones, my 4 main deities. All right. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I will see you next time. Bye.